Yo, welcome back to StorySnacks, where history gets dumber than your average team you get on the weekends. Today we got one of the most brain-dead wars ever fought. Two massive Italian cities, thousands of soldiers, years of fighting, all because someone stole a wooden bucket. Yep, you heard that right. Grab your snacks and let's see how one bucket almost destroyed in northern Italy. Let's go! The bucket heist. Alright, rewind all the way back to the year 1325, northern Italy. Two absolute powerhouse city-states are already beefing harder than two caravans fighting over the last avocado at the Whole Foods. Modena and Bologna. These two has been rival for centuries, like proper medieval hate. Modena support by the Holy Roman Emperor. Bologna were Team Pope all the way. So basically, politics plus pride, they hated each other guts on a professional level. One random day in 1325, a group of Modenese soldiers are out on a raid near Bologna territory. They're looting, burning crops, causing the usual medieval Tuesday chaos. Then they spot it. Hanging outside a church in the little village of Castelfranco was simple, boring, everyday wooden well bucket. Nothing fancy, just the oak and pail used to pull up water. But the Modenese dudes look at each other and go, "Yo, that bucket looks kinda clean. Let's take it as a trophy." They yoink the bucket, march it back to Modena like they just won the Champion League, and proudly hang it in the middle of the city square for everyone to see. Bologna loses their absolute minds. The entire city is furious. People are screaming in the streets. "They stole our bucket! Our holy well bucket! This is an act of war!" And here where it goes from stupid to the next level brain dead. Instead of doing what any normal person would do, like steal a new bucket, buy one or just chill, Bologna declared full-scale war on Modena. They start mustering a massive army, sharpening sword, calling in allies, the whole package. They march toward Modena yelling, "Return the bucket or we will end you." Bro, just imagine being a soldier in 1325. Your commander gathers everyone and says, "Men, today we ride to war. The reason they took our bucket." You will be like, "Wait, are we actually risking our lives for a wooden bucket that costs like 2 coins?" Yeah, but nah, pride is pride. Modena obviously replied with medieval version of skill issue. "Nah fam, come and get it." And just like that, one of the dumbest war in human history officially kicks off. The war of the bucket has begun. But trust me, this is only the warm-up. It gets so much stupider. The First Bloodbath. Alright, so Bologna is furious. Like absolutely livid, next level, burn their own houses down furious. They just don't get mad and move on. No, they gather the entire army, sharpening every sword they own, and start marching straight toward Modena, with one very clear message. "Return the bucket, or we will end you." Modena, not wanting to look weak, replies with peak Italian energy. "Come and take it." And just like that, the war of the bucket goes from a petty theft into full-scale medieval warfare. Thousands of soldiers from both sides clash in the fields between the two cities. We are talking spears, crossbows, swords, cavalry charges, the complete medieval violence package. Hundreds of men died in those early battles. Real people, real deaths, real widows and orphans. All because one side stole a simple wooden well bucket that according to historical estimates probably cost less than a single day wages for the average laborer. Bro, let that sink in. You're a young guy in your 20s. You're standing in the muddy fields holding a spear, about to risk your life. Your commander rides up and says, "Men, today we fight for the honor of our city." You ask, "What exactly are we fighting for?" And he answers, "They stole our buckets." You would just stare at him like, "Are we really doing this over that thing?" But pride is a dangerous drug in medieval Italy. Fun fact, both sides even started hiring mercenaries. Imagine being a professional soldier getting paid good money and your mission briefing is, "Yeah, go and die for that bucket." The fighting was brutal and chaotic. All political rivalries between the Gulbs and the Gullibinis got dragged into the mess. Friends became enemies overnight. Entire families got split down the middle. What started as a stupid raid quickly turned into a proper regional bloodbath. And the bucket? It was just sitting there peacefully in the middle of Modena's town square, hanging like a war trophy, while hundreds of men getting slaughtered trying to get it back. This war was supposed to be quick and simple. Everyone thought it would be over in a few weeks. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. The conflict would drag on for 12 long years, involving multiple cities, cost thousands of lives, and eventually drag in foreign power, all because neither side wanted to be the one who backed down over a wooden pail. 12 years of ultimate copium. Alright, so they fought one big battle at Sapolino. Hundreds, maybe even thousands of men lay dead in the fields, blood everywhere. You would think that would finally be enough, right? Someone would come to their senses. Nope, not even close. Instead of sitting down and going, "Maybe we should just make a new bucket." That does make sense. No. Never. Both cities doubled down like two addicted gamblers who already lost everything. The war dragged on, year after year after year. What started as Modena versus Bologna quickly turned into a giant regional clown show. More and more cities got dragged in, picking sides based on the old Gulbs versus Gillibinis hatred. It became less than a war and more of a never-ending medieval reality TV show, that a toxic 12-year beef that nobody had the guts to end. Fun fact, the soldiers started to recognizing each other on the battlefield. They had literally been fighting the same dudes for years. It was like the world's most violent high school reunion tour. And yes, they actually took breaks from killing each other. During big religious holidays, they would sometimes call informal truces, drink wine together, trade insults, then go right back trying to murder each other the day after. Peak passive aggressive energy. Bro, just imagine explaining this mess to your grandkids one day. You're sitting in a comfy chair and your little granddaughter on your lap, with a big curious eyes. She asks, "Grandpa, why were you gone for so many years when you were young?" "Well, sweet, Grandpa was off fighting in a big important war." "Against who?" "The city of Modena." "What happened?" "They stole our buckets." A war over a bucket? But why?" "You listen here, you little..." Yeah, anyway, the war had officially entered the legendary Copium mode. After 12 long years of battles, sieges, destroyed village, starving civilians, the endless bucket-related drama, something finally had to give. Let's see how this absolute madness finally ended. The bucket finally wins. After all that madness, both sides were completely exhausted. And here's the funny part. Even though many stories today say the war lasted 12 years, the real heavy fighting only lasted about 1 year. The rest was mostly a long-term beef and smaller conflicts. Anyway, in 1326, they finally sat down and signed a peace treaty. And the results? Modena got to keep the bucket. Bologna received some money and a few small territory as a consolation prize. And that was basically it. 1 year of chaos, thousands of dead soldiers, destroy villagers, all for a wooden bucket that never even left Modena. And to this day, the same bucket is still hanging proudly inside Modena's cathedral as a war trophy. Bologna's asked for it back many times over the centuries. Modena's answer has always been the same. Nah, come and take it. The bucket never moved, and in the end, the bucket won. And that was the War of the Bucket, one of the dumbest war in human history, all because someone stole a wooden pail and nobody wanted to back down. If this made you laugh, smash that like button and tell me in the comments what's the most ridiculous thing you would go to war over. Subscribe for more ridiculously history and see you in the next one. Take care.